From the chosen one destined to save humanity from their machine overlords as Neo, to a wicked cool assassin who just can't seem to find his match as John Wick, Keanu Reeves has had his fair share of iconic roles throughout his career. But it turns out that his dream role is something no one would have expected. Keanu always wanted to play Wolverine. He revealed this in a recent Reddit AMA that he did, and let me just say, the guy's humility really shone through in every answer he gave. One user asked him if he's ever been disappointed after being rejected for a dream role. Now, Keanu did say that he's never been disappointed or rejected, technically speaking, but there's one role that he's always wanted to play, namely Wolverine. Of course, this legendary Marvel character already has a famous actor that kinda personifies him. Hugh Jackman has played the part for over 2 decades, and I think we can all agree he absolutely owns the role. That might be because no one else has ever played Logan on the big screen, unlike Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, and other famous superheroes. So Hugh got the chance to stamp his seal on the character and turn it into a role that's entirely his own. He's done a great job at bringing the complex, angry superhero to life, balancing his aggression and world weariness with equal parts vulnerability. I think the movie Logan was a great example of that, because it showed us that he's the kind of actor that's never afraid to bring some emotional levity to a role. And with Jackman coming back to play Wolverine a 10th time in Deadpool 2, allowing him to be an official member of the MCU for the very first time, it seems unlikely that anyone else would get the chance to play the role.
Stryker finally figured out how to shut you up.
However, there's still some hope on the horizon. Hugh Jackman isn't the MCU's Wolverine, he's from the Foxverse. That's just how things are looking right now. Disney acquired Fox a few years ago, and that opened the door for a lot of iconic superheroes from the Foxverse to make their MCU debuts. But despite all that, Jackman's Wolverine might have a bit too much baggage from the Foxverse saga. And while it makes sense that the MCU would want to bring him into Deadpool 3, I highly doubt they'd want him in the role permanently. Instead, they'd want to bring some new faces to the screen, giving fans a Wolverine that is 100% MCU through and through. That gives Keanu an opening to get his dream role, but while I'm probably his biggest fan out there, I really don't think that he's the right choice to play the mutant hero. The guy's a bit too laid back to be suitable for the character. You've got to remember, Wolverine has a bit of a short fuse. In fact, even Hugh Jackman kinda dialed that back a bit in his portrayal. His Wolverine is gruff and grumpy, but he doesn't come anywhere close to being the hot-headed loose cannon from the source material. The thing is, Keanu might dial it back even further, and some might say he'd take things a bit too far on that front. Just take a look at some of his past roles and you'll get what I'm trying to say here. Neo is the one, the savior of humanity, so he has a zen-like calm and an unflappable demeanor that fits his destiny quite perfectly. And as for John Wick, the notorious assassin might have killed hundreds of people by this point, but I don't think we've seen him lose his marbles. At least not in the way that Wolverine does, to be fair. It might be cool to see a level-headed Wolverine for a change. That might not be faithful to the source material, but it wouldn't be the first time the MCU switched things up from the comics. Even so, something tells me Keanu might be too late to the party. The MCU really needs a young Wolverine, because the thing is, we've already gotten the chance to see an old world-weary depiction of the character thanks to the amazing Logan and Hugh Jackman's stellar performance in the film. Now, Keanu certainly ages better than most people, but you have to admit, he's getting a bit gray around the edges there. There's no way he'd be able to pull off a young, new Wolverine at 60 years of age. Rather, he'd be the right fit to portray a grizzled version of the character that's already been through a lot. If Disney's gonna introduce the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they really need to give us a character that's starting from scratch. One that we can get deeply invested in. The DCU's already made the mistake of skipping over too much of the backstory with Batman, and that made Batfleck flex seem kinda out of place. I sincerely hope that the MCU doesn't make a similar mistake. Otherwise, they'll end up ruining Wolverine for a new generation of fans. Besides, it's not like there's any shortage of capable actors who can play the character, and a couple of them might be way more accurate to the comics than even Hugh. Wolverine is a short king, and he needs an actor that can pay tribute to that. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to love about Jackman's portrayal of the Clawed Hero. But even so, Wolverine is super short in the comics. I'm talking 5'3". And as for Hugh Jackman, the guy stands at a towering 6'3", and Keanu's over 6 feet tall as well. I think it's time that we get a Wolverine that can give some of the short kings out there something to cheer for. One actor that fits the bill is Taron Egerton. He's about 5'9", still a bit taller than Wolverine, but way closer than both Hugh and Keanu. That said, rumors have been circling about an even better actor for the part, none other than Daniel Radcliffe. The Harry Potter actor's been having tons of fun playing wacky roles in low-budget films, and he might be looking to return to some big-budget blockbusters to mix things up. The best part is that he's just 5 feet 5 inches tall. That's about as close to the original Wolverine as he can get. And he's clearly shown that he has the acting chops necessary to satisfy all the Wolverine fans out there. So does this mean that Keanu's never going to join the MCU? Well, there's actually a lot to cover on that front, and it's perhaps the biggest reason why he shouldn't play Wolverine. The MCU has plenty of other characters that would suit Keanu way more. Reeves is known for being stoic and wise, and that makes him perfect for playing the Silver Surfer. The Herald of Galactus has a small piece of the power cosmic given to him by his captor and employer, and that's kind of a huge burden for him to bear. I think Keanu has a bit of experience playing characters who have powers they never asked for. Pretty sure a lot of you will agree with me on that one. There have also been rumors about Keanu playing Ghost Rider, and I'd bet all my money that he'd do a heck of a lot better than Nicolas Cage. Probably the most significant role that Keanu's been connected with is that of Dr. Doom. I mean, why get him to play yet another action hero when he can play one of the greatest villains in the entire Marvel canon? Yeah, even though Wolverine's out of Keanu's reach, the world of the MCU is wide open to him, and I'd imagine Disney would love to scoop up a big-name actor like him for pretty much any role. That's all from me on why Keanu Reeves shouldn't be the MCU's Wolverine.